गुड इवनिंग फ्रेंड, वेलकम टू अवर चैनल एग्जामपुराइज इंग्लिश मीडियम। आप सभी का हमारे परिवार एग्जामपुर में स्वागत है। आई एम एक्सट्रीमली सॉरी फॉर द डिले इन द क्लासेस। वेलकम मृदुल जी एंड अजित कुमार। सो टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट एंड द फर्स्ट सेशन इज योर इंट्रोडक्शन टू डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट। इंट्रोडक्शन टू डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट। एम आई ऑडिबल, विजिबल? इज इट ओके? इंट्रोडक्शन टू डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट। ओके, इंट्रोडक्शन टू introduction to disaster management. Okay, introduction to disaster management. Ajit, Mridul, am I audible, visible? Please do confirm from your side. Please do confirm. Am I audible? I'm not getting your feedback. Yes, sir. All okay. So first of all, before starting the session, we must know why the UPSC has inculcated disaster management in its syllabus. What is its significance? Why, being an UPSC aspirant, we must know regarding how to manage the disaster, how to manage the disaster risk. Apart from that, how we can build our capacity and how we can become resilient towards the disaster. And apart from that, the new concept that has been introduced is your governance of disaster. During the time of disaster, what strategies should be adopted so that we can govern it, all the economic activities can be monitored. Welcome Deepak Kumar. Okay, so please Deepak ji, Ajit Kumar ji, please do let me know why an UPSC aspirant should know regarding disaster management, how it should be managed. बताइए। Is it? Please let me know why an UPSC, why and UPSC aspirant or selected officer should study disaster management. Should study disaster management. बताइए। Yes, session, try to make the session a bit interactive one. कुछ आप कहो और कुछ हम कहें और ये सिलसिला जो है यूं ही चलता रहे। हम तो सिलसिले की तलाश में रहते हैं। बताइए। लगता है काफी ज्यादा लेटेंसी है। Suppose you consider a particular area. Suppose you consider this particular area. Suppose Dispur region of Assam. Okay, Dispur region of Assam, and you have been selected as an collector or SP of this particular region. Mridul जो है, Mridul is SP. Mridul जो है SP of this region, and apart from that, Deepak जो है is the collector of this region. Deepak जो है is the collector of this region. Now you might be knowing the geographical location of Dispur, because when you talk about the geographical location of Dispur, it falls within the lower part of the Assam. Are you getting my point? It falls within the lower part of the Assam, and because of this particular area is frequently flooded. This particular area is frequently inundated every year. Now, being an SP of this region, being an collector of this region, what is it your responsibility? What responsibility you carry on, and how you are going to control the disaster? So, because Commission wants civil service to have, we have to face several type of problem. Okay, this is the criteria. This is the example we are going to discuss. Please do let me know. First of all, when Mridul or Deepak are posted in the particular region of Dispur, so they have to go for the induction training. And in the induction training, you guys are being made aware regarding the geographical location, regarding all the problem that this area is facing. So the one of the biggest issue of this reason is this area is frequently flooded. This area is frequently flooded. Okay, frequently flooded. Now, being an SP or being the collector, particularly when you talk, being the collector of that region, ठीक है ना? Being the SP of this region, you are responsible for maintaining the security of the state. You are responsible for maintaining the security of the state, because during the time of disaster, it has been noticed that theft, kidnapping, rape all increases. So it's the responsibility of the SP to maintain. But when it comes to the part of the collector, you are the nodal officer. You are the nodal officer, and you are the first who will be responding to the disaster. ठीक है ना? Who will be responding to the disaster. So अब collector की क्या responsibility है during the time of disaster? है ना? So because of this only, you have to study disaster management. You have to study disaster management. जैसे when we talk about this particular dispute region, so first of all, now the disaster हम लोग कल की क्लासेस हम लोग स्टडी करेंगे. बेसिकली दिस सेशन इज रिलेटेड टू इंट्रोडक्शन पार्ट ओनली, सो वी आर गोइंग टू इंट्रोड्यूस इटसेल्फ, एंड टुमारो we are having a marathon session from 8 to 10:30 p.m. where we are going to cover the important aspects of disaster management. So do not miss my classes. Tomorrow again I'm repeating it, I'm having my marathon session from 8 to 10:30. So kindly do attend my classes. Now think of it. First of all, suppose that in the examination, how the question will be asked. The question will be asked that dispute region falls within the lower part of the Assam, ठीक है ना, and because of this it is frequently flooded. Now what steps you might take it to control it, है ना? तो first of all आप क्या करेंगे एग्जाम जब हम करेंगे, तो first of all you have to know the geographical position. First आप क्या करेंगे जब हैगा, so you have to know the geographical position. Are you there in? आप सभी क्लास में हैं? मृदुल जी, दीपक कुमार, अजीत कुमार जी, are you there in my class? Are you there in my class? चलिए. So first of all, now what we have to do? See how we have to study the things. क्या होता है? Generally people what they do? They go through the books, but they fail to read in between the lines, and because of this they fail to understand the concept and they fail to implement it also. Now being an UPSC aspirant, there is always certain things which you have to keep in the mind. Always streamline your study. Always you have to try कि हम किस तरीके से पढ़े कि चीज़ों को रिकॉल कर सकें. एक बार पढ़ो, चीज़ों को रिकॉल करो. Now see, tomorrow we are having the marathon session in which we are going to cover the basic aspect, but from Sunday itself, from the Sunday also I'm keeping a marathon session in which we are going to study the different concepts. So see how to study. Now this is the dispute region. Just a moment. This is the dispute region. Okay, so how to start? Now how to cover? Okay, now first of all you have to define what is disaster. पहले आपको पता होना चाहिए what is disaster. Disaster क्या है, ठीक है ना? Okay, and in this we are talking about the natural disaster because it is inundated with flood every year. So it falls under the category of natural disaster. Don't worry, we will make it as interesting as you can. And in natural disaster also, it comes under the category of, there are many types of natural disaster, like tsunami, it is also a natural disaster. Flood, it is a natural disaster. Heavy rainfall, it is a natural disaster. Landslide, it is a natural disaster. Earthquake, all these are natural disaster. So it will be falling under the category of flood. Okay, this is the basic thing what we have discussed. Now, if you want to study all about the disaster management, the first question should come in your mind, why this particular area is always inundated with flood. The first question what we have to know, okay, why this particular area falls, so why this particular area is frequently inundated with flood, is frequently inundated with flood. Okay, with flood. Okay. Second thing, what are the risk associated with the flood in this particular region? है ना, बहुत सारे रिस्क होते हैं. मान के चलिए कि if it falls within the lower part of the Assam, there is a very high possibility that all the villages that are being settled or that are being excavated around the river all will get submerged. So you have to find out the risk associated with the flood. ठीक है ना. Second is your risk associated with the flood. Risk associated with flood. Okay. Second, and in the third you have to categorize the risk. What are the risk? आपको जो है रिस्क को कैटेगराइज करना है. ठीक है ना. You have to categorize the risk. Okay. ठीक है ना. And again you have to see. So risk हो गया. Now what you have to quantify. आपको देखना पड़ेगा इकोनॉमिकल सेक्टर रिस्क, फिजिकल सेक्टर रिस्क. ठीक है ना. इकोनॉमिकल सेक्टर रिस्क, फिजिकल सेक्टर रिस्क, सब आपको जो यहाँ पे ये क्लासिफाई करना पड़ेगा. ना क्लासिफाई द डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ रिस्क. क्लासिफाई द डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ रिस्क. ठीक है. चौथा में आप आएंगे तो इन द फोर्थ कंडीशन यू हैव टू सी whether what is the role of siltation that is being played in the particular. You know that when you talk about the Assam, ठीक है, Assam, it's a particularly hilly terrain. So the river जो होता है when it is coming from the top of the hill, what it is in the young stage, and because of the young stage it is having highly erosive power, and because of the highly erosive power it cuts rock. That is nothing but it becomes a silt when it is deposited on the bottom of the river itself. So you have to know role played by silt in flooding. So these are the things which you must know before starting any topic. किसी भी टॉपिक को स्टार्ट करने के पहले you must know what are the reason for it, who are the people that are being affected, how are the risks being associated, apart from that what is the role that is being played by silt. ठीक है ना. Okay. And if there is any dam located, fifth is your, if any dam is located, what is the role that is being played by dam in flooding? Role played by dam in flooding. Role played by dam in flooding. Okay, these are the things. Suppose you might be knowing that Kerala was being flooded because one of the responsible factors is your dam. The dam is not being properly managed, because it is the responsibility of the dam management authority to check before monsoon that all the silts are being cleared, or you have to monitor the carrying capacity of the dam. But it was being noticed that the dam was not properly monitored, the carrying capacity was not being taken care of, and apart from that the original capacity of a dam was only 65%, because 35% of the dam was being covered with silt. ठीक है. So these are the things which you must know. Now this is the one of the aspect we have asking ourselves regarding why it is flooded, what is the role being played by silt, what is the role being played by river, what is the risk associated with it. So this you have known. Now the next part comes. This is the सोम्या सर, डैम रेगुलेट इनफ्लो एंड आउटफ्लो फॉर. वेलकम सोम्या शेखर जी, इतने दिनों बाद आप मेरी क्लासेस में. बताइए, हमसे नाराज हो गए थे क्या आप? बताएं. सोम्या शेखर जी, इतने दिनों बाद. चलिए, so we have discussed one of the aspect regarding the reason. We are asking why. Now the next part come under the disaster management. Now the next question is your, how this disaster can be managed. Now the next part comes under disaster management. ठीक है ना? Disaster management. Next part comes under your disaster disaster management. Okay, disaster management. So now let me know how to manage this disaster. किस प्रकार से आप इस disaster को manage कर सकते हैं. How to manage this disaster. ठीक है ना, how to manage this disaster. How to manage this disaster. Apart from that, we have to see what is the role that is being played by National Disaster Management Authority and State Disaster Management Authority and District Disaster Management Authority. We have to ensure, ठीक है ना, being in disaster, we will see how these are being linkage, and apart from that, what is the role that each authority will have to play. So now we can see role played by National Disaster Management Authority, State Disaster Management Authority, District Disaster Management Authority. ठीक है ना, okay. Apart from that, how we can make this particular area resilient toward this flood. किस प्रकार से हम यहाँ पे कुछ improvement करेंगे so that it will become resilient. That means we can reduce the risk. ठीक है ना, how to make this area resilient toward the flood. How to make this area more resilient towards flood. ठीक है ना, towards flood. ठीक है, चलिए ठीक. अच्छा, सेक्शन ऑफिसर का मेंस था. वेरी गुड सौम्या जी. सो ये हो गया डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट. नाउ when you're talking about the flood, you might be knowing that when flood occurs, all the economic activities are being shut down for a particular period of time. Now we have to see how we can make this area particularly resilient. That means how you can revive the economic activities, whether there are certain things which we can do during the time of flood. So this is particularly called flood governance. इसे क्या कहते हैं हम लोग? flood governance कहते हैं. ठीक है ना. So now we have to discuss regarding the flood governance. Now in flood governance, there are certain things which you have to ensure. First of all, the sanitation should be developed on the upper part of the hill so that it won't pollute the water. Otherwise, epidemiological or you can say bacterial infections may start. So one of the part of flood governance is that sanitations will have to develop on the upper part of the hill. Sanitation जो है, sanitations will be developed on the upper part of the hill, है ना, upper part of the hill. First thing. Second thing is what? Can we introduce certain crops, can we introduce certain vegetables which cannot be affected by the flood? This also falls under the flood governance, है ना. क्या हम कुछ ऐसे राइस या कुछ ऐसे क्रॉप्स को इंट्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं जो आपके फ्लड के दौरान भी उतने ही मतलब वैसी ही प्रोडक्टिविटी को मेंटेन कर सकते हैं? थिंक ऑफ इट. कैन वी इंट्रोड्यूस इट आल्सो फॉल. कैन वी इंट्रोड्यूस any crops, can we introduce any food crops, vegetables, food crops, vegetables that can be grown in the flooded region, that can be grown in the flooded region. जैसे yesterday in the current affair classes we have discussed that yes, don't worry, Deepak Kumar ji, just see, my question in the beginning itself was why being an UPSC aspirant we should know the disaster management. So I'm trying to create a bit of interest toward the disaster management, the complete strategy regarding the disaster. What is disaster, how it has been classified, what is vulnerability, what is risk, है ना, what are the type of disaster, what is disaster management cycle, we are going to discuss in the tomorrow classes. ठीक है ना. Just I'm trying to introduce a basic concept, a basic interest towards the disaster management. Is it okay? ठीक है. So in the yesterday classes we have discussed that in the Kerala a variety of rice has been found. It is called Neragali rice that has the potential that it can remain submerged for 40 days. It can remain submerged for 40 days, and after 40 days when water will start receding, it will start producing. It will start to regenerate itself. So you can think of certain flood governance. Apart from that, can you think of third point? Can you think of certain house design which won't be affected during the flood? Can you think of? बताइए, can you think of certain house design which will not be affected by the flood? House design that won't be affected by flood. Example, Example, you might have seen that wooden houses are being preferred in earthquake area zone, because wooden जो है, अगर आप when you are constructing the houses of concrete, it has the potential to create more damage, but when it is being constructed with the wood, it won't create so much of damage, damages. ठीक है ना? So you have to think certain house design that won't be affected by flood. जैसे you might be knowing in the Assam, particularly the houses are being constructed by bamboo. So you might be knowing the floating houses. Floating houses can be constructed with the help of bamboo. ठीक है ना? तो आपको कुछ ऐसे हाउस डिजाइन के बारे में सोचना है. Apart from that, can you think of certain economic activities which won't get curtailed or which won't get affected during flooding? Certain economic activities. Third number, certain economic activities which won't get affected during flood. बताइए. Certain, just like fishing culture is there. Apart from that, can you think of certain economic activities which are not affected by the flood? ठीक है, चलिए. Okay, is it okay? So this is how we have to introduce a disaster. ठीक है ना? So whenever we are studying any topic, whether it is earthquake, whether it is landslide, whether it is flood governance, or whatever it is, we have to think in such a fashion. ठीक है ना? We have to think in such a fashion so that whatever the questions are being asked, anything, मतलब such type of questions can be answered. Is it clear to everyone? काफी इंटरेस्टिंग सेशन होगा. डोंट वरी, डिजास्टर जो है काफी इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाला है. सो इट्स माय हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट टू दीपक कुमार, सौम्या जी, मृदुल, दीपक एंड एवरीवन हु इज अटेंडिंग माय क्लासेस, प्लीज डू अटेंड माय क्लासेस ऑन ए लाइव मोड. कल हमारी जो 8 बजे से 10:30 तक की क्लासेस होगी. एंड आपको एक चीज देखने को मिलेगी. यू आर गोइंग टू नोटिस वन थिंग, that the session is going to be an interesting one. We are going to I'm going to take the session not on board, but the disaster management should be taught with proper PPTs so that the actual example of disasters can be reflected. ठीक है ना? And you are going to find the session a very interesting one. अगर आपको interesting नहीं लगेगा, then better you not to watch, or better to go for the recorded one. ठीक है? Is it okay? Any doubt? बताइए. Is it okay for everyone? So कल कौन कौन आ रहा है लाइव क्लासेस अटेंड करने के लिए? दीपक, आर यू कमिंग? सौम्या जी, tomorrow is my marathon session and we will complete what is disaster management and regarding the disaster management cycle. And on the Sunday itself we are going to take the different case studies. ठीक है? So tomorrow I am having my classes 8 to 10:30 p.m. Please do attend my classes live. Okay? Happy Janmashtami to all of you. ठीक है ना? जन्माष्टमी है, so थोड़ा सा एंजॉयमेंट कीजिए. ऑलवेज देखिए, वॉट एवर यू आर स्टडिंग, ऑलवेज थिंक, कभी लोड नहीं लेना है. ठीक है ना? रेदर यू शुड एंजॉय योर स्टडी को एंजॉयमेंट करना है. ठीक है ना? उसको लोड नहीं लेना है. डू नॉट हैव टू टेक लोड, रेदर एंजॉय दिस प्रोसेस. इस प्रोसेस को एंजॉयमेंट करना है, लोड नहीं लेना है. ठीक है, तो जाइए थोड़ा एंजॉय कीजिए आप लोग। तो थैंक्स एवरीवन, जय हिंद जय भारत।